Crosscutters is your family's full-service salon specializing in cuts, colors, and curls. Visit any one of our professional stylists today and get the look you want for less. Welcome to Making the Grade. I'm Dave Dicke, sitting in today for Kelly Halverson, and we're joined today by Kevin Fleece from the IT guru at Winona Area Public Schools.
Yep, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you here. And I guess there's information systems. Guru is not your official title.
Yeah, we just call it the tech guys, the tech department, IT. Very few people call it information systems, but we always just use the moniker. If it plugs in, it probably belongs to us. So
very good. Now this year, every student has a Chromebook, correct?
All of the students at the senior high received Chromebooks in September, and then just Tuesday of this week, we provided Chromebook to each 8th grade student at the middle school, with plans to expand that, down the road in the fall to the entire middle school.
So with the implementation of this kind of one-on-one, one per student, what was, I guess, the reasoning for doing that? I know a lot of other schools have, but why did Winona Area Public Schools decide to do that?
Sure. For those that aren't familiar with one-to-one, it basically means one computer, one technology learning device for each student to use both at home and at school. And the reasoning behind it is it really kind of meets the students where they live. Today's students grow up with a lot of technology. That's how they communicate. And it really gives the students access to a large variety of information, instant information. It extends the learning both outside of school because they're able to take the devices home. And it really allows students or allows teachers, I should say, to differentiate the learning so that they can meet all the students' needs, both the middle of the road student as well as the higher achievers or those students that maybe struggle a little bit. So it really gives them a lot of options for how the students learn.
So there already was a lot of technology in the classroom with the smart boards. How do the Chromebooks fit into that scheme, and how are teachers utilizing them in the classroom?
Sure. I would say that it's a large variety of ways. One of the big things is collaboration and communication. Allows the students and the teachers to communicate on a basis of real time rather than getting feedback after the fact, that maybe after a quiz is taken. It's more of a formative assessment type environment where the students and teachers are getting instant feedback. It has a lot of project-based information and a lot of project-based learning that takes place in the one-to-one program. So it allows students that learn in different ways to achieve their learning, both in ways of traditional means through textbooks and things like that, but also in ways where a student that might learn differently from another student might choose to accomplish a project in a different way, such as through, I might create a video and you might write a paper, and another student might do some type of a modeling project. So the technology allows students to demonstrate their knowledge in a lot of different ways.
So when this was implemented, there were some like test students, I guess you would call them. How did that work out, and what were there other districts that Winona looked at to see how a program might be implemented?
Sure. The one-to-one idea in K-12 technology has been around for a number of years, and there's a lot of districts that are further down the road than we are, and there's some that are just beginning their journey. But so we did do a lot of collaboration and a lot of talking with other districts to kind of learn some best practices and things to avoid and mistakes to avoid, those kinds of things. But we're kind of deploying ours over about a 4 or 5 year period. We started in 2014-15 with a small group of 9th grade students to kind of get our feet wet with this idea of one-to-one technology. We expanded that last year to provide a Chromebook to all of our 10th grade students. And then this year, as I mentioned earlier, we provided devices to all of the high school students, and now the 8th grade. And in September of this year, we'll do the rest of the middle school, so they'll be fully implemented as well.
Is there any decision that was made to go with a Chromebook over another device?
Yeah, we looked at a lot of different devices. We looked at traditional laptop computers, whether those be Windows or Mac-based computers. We looked at iPads. We've done some piloting with iPads. Like for instance, at our Rolling Stone school has been a one-to-one iPad school for the last few years, so we can kind of get some information on that technology. And then we also did, like I mentioned earlier, the pilot programs with the Chromebooks at the high school and at the middle school, so that we could kind of make a determination based on the student's age what was the best device to go with.
That was going to be my next question. I'd imagine iPad being a little smaller fits into smaller hands a little bit better.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of different devices. We looked at traditional laptop computers, whether those be Windows or Mac-based computers. We looked at iPads. We've done some piloting with iPads. Like for instance, at our Rolling Stone school has been a one-to-one iPad school for the last few years, so we can kind of get some information on that technology. And then we also did, like I mentioned earlier, the pilot programs with the Chromebooks at the high school and at the middle school, so that we could kind of make a determination based on the student's age what was the best device to go with.
I have a daughter that's a senior at the high school, really loves the Chromebook. And I know we talked to her about making sure she takes care of it, and I know we had to sign a waiver. How is the maintenance on the Chromebooks going? I mean, you would know firsthand how they're holding up, and have you had trouble with devices being damaged and that sort of thing?
Well, we try to do a best job we can with the students to educate them on how to care for the device. So being careful with things like how they carry it, don't expose it to temperature extremes and liquid spills and that sort of thing. So that's really helped. But of course, that being said, we're always going to have a number of devices that are dropped. Some might be lost, we could have some stolen, that sort of thing. So we do offer to the families an insurance policy that will protect against some damages like that. We also have some warranty coverage and accidental damage coverage on the computers, so that if they are broken, we can get them repaired and not put a burden on the family, a large financial burden, or on the district for having those lost devices. But to date, we've seen a pretty small percentage of breakage. I would say less than 5 or 6%, and those have mostly been just things from accidental drops and things like that.
It was expensive, I'm assuming, to bring this type of technology to the school. Where did the funding for the Chromebooks come from?
Well, it came from a variety of sources. When we first started our one-to-one initiative, we were very fortunate in that we had some great people in the community that stepped up and helped us finance our first couple phases of our one-to-one program. And those were places like the Winona Schools Foundation that did some fundraising, not only for our smart boards and other classroom technology, but for some of the Chromebooks. And then we've also had some larger benefactors. Winona Health made a sizable donation to the district to help get the program off the ground. And then going forward, we use a combination of district funds, and we also have recently, as most people know, we recently were fortunate that the voters in the community supported our technology levy, so we'll have a 10-year fund going forward to help fund this program. And I think it's important to note that the expense that the district has for technology is not all about these devices. That's less than a third of our budget. A lot of it goes into the infrastructure kind of behind the scenes that support internet access and networks and things like that to support the students' use of the technology.
One thing I know that was a concern for some people was the access that the students would have. Is there any kind of filter on these devices that prevents them from going into sites that they probably shouldn't be visiting?
Yeah, absolutely. We're required by federal law to filter the devices at school. So we've had that in place for many years. But now that we've gone into this one-to-one program and the students are starting to take the devices off campus, they're taking them home, and in some cases we're allowing them to keep them over the summer. We decided, and after talking with some parents, we decided that it was important to also do some type of filtering at home. So we have two levels of filtering. We have what we call a take-home policy. So when the student takes the device home, it's still filtered from inappropriate materials, but it's a little bit looser than, let's say, than at the school, so they can access some fun things, maybe some video streaming sites like a Netflix type thing at home that they can't at school, or some games, things like that. So, but it is filtered both at school and at home.
Right, very good. We are running out of time rapidly here for our time with you, but Kevin Fleece, we want to thank you very much for joining us on Making the Grade today, and best of luck with the one-on-one and the Chromebooks here in the future.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Right. Our guest has been Kevin Fleece, the Information Officer at Winona Area Public Schools, and we'll be back with more Making the Grade right after this.
Perfect. Perfect.
Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
Cost Cutters of Winona presents Making the Grade. Catch all the spotlight happenings in the Winona School District 861. Featuring interviews with students and faculty members. Tune in to Making the Grade on HBC TV 25 at 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Check your listings for additional weekend times. Presented by Cost Cutters of Winona, located at the professional building in the Winona Mall Annex.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. Getting the right look at the right price
Perfect.
is always in style at Cost Cutters.
Located in the professional building in the Winona Mall, 507-454-6030.
Cost Cutters is your family's full-service salon specializing in cuts, colors, and curls. Visit any one of our professional stylists today and get the look you want for less. Welcome back to Making the Grade. I'm Dave Dicke, sitting in today for Kelly Halverson. Joining us on our second segment today, we have media specialists Jill Nysse and Marianne Shira. So we want to thank both of you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
So, first of all, media specialists. So you're specialists with media. What are some of the things you do as a media specialist?
Well, as a media specialist, you know, I've started with the district in the 1970s, so I've seen a lot of changes. When I started, we were just kind of getting into the AV world, the audiovisual world, adding equipment like overhead projectors, slide projectors, opaque projectors, tape recorders, phonographs. Those were the big items at that time. And the emphasis then was on individual learning. We had the district maintenance build study carrels so people could be in their own study carrel with their headset and their slide film strip projector. Now, of course, the emphasis is on collaboration. But basically, even though our tools have changed, we're now in a digital world, I think anybody can relate to how everybody's job has changed. But our basic job is to provide the best possible resources for faculty and students and make those available. And I don't see that changing.
How about you, Marianne?
Well, you know, I'm actually new to the district and new to being a media specialist, so I don't have the experience that Jill has. But I've been a user of the space for a long time. And with the, you know, it's been called a media specialist for what, 30 years?
At least.
You know, it changed from being a librarian to a media specialist. You know, it's just evolves with the technology. Absolutely.
Now, the library has changed over the years. You've both kind of alluded to that.
Yes.
It used to be, there was no talking. Kevin, in this segment before you, talked about, you know, kids have coffee now in the library.
Yes.
And we'd be sent to the principal's office in my school days if we had any kind of a liquid, even gum in the library. So how has that model changed now to the environment that we have today?
Well, the Learning Commons is what we call it now. It's changed from a media center to Learning Commons. It needs to be a flexible, fluid space. It needs to be what the students need to do. There's different kinds of learners out there. Not everybody learns in that shh, let's be quiet environment. Some people learn by working in small groups. Others people learn by working in large groups. We need to be a fluid, mobile space, not just a place to come, check out a book, and be quiet. So things are changing in that respect. Will there still be quiet spaces? Absolutely. But there also will be spaces to collaborate and work as a group and be more functional in today's technological world.
So, Jill, how does that change your role then as a media specialist with just the change in the space?
Well, I think libraries have always reinvented themselves as the delivery systems have changed, be it from stone tablets to print or whatever. And the Learning Commons concept is an educational space that will adapt to anything. And I think by saying that, you're also saying the media specialist is going to be able to adapt to this changing role that the new educational space will provide and be open to whatever brings learning in. You know, people have always come to libraries to get things that they don't have themselves. For centuries it was books. They were so expensive, only the very wealthy had books. Now people may be coming to the libraries to use a 3D printer or to take classes, to learn something entirely new, to use robotics, to learn from somebody else. I think this has all been driven by the digital resources, the online resources. You don't have to go to a library anymore to check something out. Certainly not a book, not a DVD. So why would you want to go to a library or a media center or a Learning Commons? And that's what I think our role is, to figure out and to provide.
Maker spaces are a big part of that. Be instituted throughout the district. Maker spaces include things like Sphero. Sphero is a cool little concept that you run with an iPad, and you drive a little ball all the way around, and you control it. But you learn by doing that control. There's Raspberry Pi. There's where you learn coding. There's Play-Doh that you make electricity out of. There's different things that you learn by doing. Maker spaces are a big part of where we plan on going, where that project-based learning and that hands-on learning that you learn by doing, that'll be a big part of it. As well as, like, one of the things we're doing at the high school, and it will fold down to the other schools, we've created a student learning class called TechNest. So the TechNest students are learning to troubleshoot things that go on with the Chromebooks with the students. So if we have a problem with a Chromebook, a lot of them are simple problems, like I can't get on the internet, or my screen is frozen. But not everybody knows how to take care of those problems. So the TechNet students will help troubleshoot those problems. Now, if they don't know the answer, they go out and look for the answer. So they're learning while they're teaching. The other student is learning. We're learning. So the learning is continual as far as that's concerned.
Now, how do the students react to the change? And they each have their Chromebooks now. We're into that one-on-one.
Yeah.
So the computer lab is gone.
No, we still have.
Do you still have
two. Well, yeah, they need to print.
Okay, sure.
Our Chromebooks don't print, because that would be like unfettered chaos. So they still need to print for certain classes. Now they do save things digitally through Google Drive. So we will maintain a lab. There are some certain things that you need a hardwired computer for. And we need that function to still be there. They're always going to be, the hardware computers are always going to be a more solid thing than just the Chromebook. The Chromebook is a web-based tool. Everything is web-based. Really doesn't have a hard drive. So there's certain things that you can and cannot do. So they're coming to the space with their Chromebooks, and they're working in groups. It's fabulous to watch, to be honest with you.
How about you, Jill?
Well, our 8th graders just got their Chromebooks yesterday. So we still have all our computer labs, but when the rest of the grades do get Chromebooks in the fall, I'm sure we'll get rid of at least one. But as Marianne said, we do need them to print. The teacher doesn't want to be printing 120 papers.
There's still projects that they need a physical copy of. I think eventually that might go away. Maybe not. You know, it's all about technology. It's technology will change tomorrow.
So that leads me into my final question. I'll have each of you answer this separately. Where do you see the media center, if you will, beyond this? What are the next steps? I mean, right now, I think it's, 10 years ago, it was hard to imagine that we'd be where we're at today. Where do you see things going in the future?
We need to be fluid. We need to be fluid and changeable. Our furniture needs to be fluid. You can't have 10 tables over here and 3 chairs and 4 study carrels. You need to have an area where people can collaborate, an area, maybe you move a wall over here or these tables over there, everything on casters, chairs, everything. So it's a fluid, mobile type environment, because we've figured out that the stationary doesn't necessarily work and that it needs to be changed later. If we make it fluid and mobile, it'll be easier to continually change.
How about you, Jill?
Well, as I said earlier, people have come to libraries for learning, to enrich their lives, to have access to things that they can't get on their own. And I see that continuing. It probably won't be books. I think we're going to see them checking out books from home or checking out videos from home. But I think they will come to take part in workshops, to collaborate, to use equipment that they don't have access to on their own. So what it will be 10 years from now, I wouldn't even guess. But I think that libraries of all types, public school libraries, all libraries, are a big part of that continuous learning, exploration, collaboration, creativity. Those are all words I associate with libraries, not just the books and reading.
Well, we're out of time for the day. I want to thank Jill and Marianne for being
Thank you.
here today.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for all the work that you're doing in the school district for all of our kids. Greatly appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And that will wrap up our Making the Grade today. We want to thank you for joining us. And next time you'll see Kelly Halverson in this seat. So I thank you for staying with us today, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.